We do have major budget problems in Colorado, and education is underfunded, transportation is underfunded, and there's really no way that we can fund future health care mandates without closing down the prisons and letting all the prisoners go, for example, and funding no money to higher education. So those are serious threats that are coming along. In transportation, let's start with that. It's $1.5 billion behind funding. It goes back to about 1992 with the passage of Tabor and the cap on the gas tax. Meanwhile, we haven't used more gas, we aren't collecting more revenue, inflation goes up, our roads and bridges are literally falling apart. What do we do about it? Well, first of all, we got to convince the public that it's a problem, because we can't really do anything from the legislature. The ideas that are coming out are more toll roads. The one that's probably going to emerge nationwide is a vehicle miles travel tax, VMT. You'll hear about that. Now, how do we measure how many miles you traveled? I don't want a tracking device in my car, so, there you go. Education, but education to me, there's a huge groundswell to get more money in education. I don't think money is the issue in education. It's not the only issue, it's one of them. Education needs major reform. We know that more money and more, smaller classrooms have not improved test scores over the years. So I favor, and Jo Ann and I will argue about this, I favor a voucher system to create competition in the public schools. We can fix these problems. There are models. The KIPP schools, some charter schools are educating kids. We know it can be done, but change is difficult.
Baxter.
Well, Bob and I do have a divergence of opinions. State of Colorado's budget for K-12 education 5 years ago was about 49% of the budget. This year's 43% of the budget. Less money has not improved test scores either. So we need to work on the reform measures that have been passed. And there are 3 important reform measures for education that have been passed in the last 3 years that school districts across the state are working on. But you cannot get results in that from those reform measures in 1 year. It's sort of like, turning an aircraft carrier in the ocean. You just can't spin it around and go the other way. You've got to give it time to work. You've got to give the people the time to implement it. And we need to also look. We talk about these test scores. Are those test scores the indicator that we need to show that students are making progress? Wouldn't it be better if we were looking at the whole student and all of the things that that student needs, not just to be able to pass that one test or to get a good score on one test? Are we providing music education, which is an important critical skill for some students as far as their learning is concerned? Are we providing art education, physical education? We have asked schools to do a whole lot of work that we didn't ask for before that. So I digress from my prepared remarks.
Summing it all up. Vote for me because I'm younger, got more energy.
Just a minute. Well, Dan, I would be a libertarian if I thought I could make a difference as one. I think I am a libertarian philosophically. But to make a difference in government, you have to understand the issues and dig into the detail and work on bills that are many pages long. And it's hard work. And that's what I think I'm capable of doing in a unique way because of my life experiences. And that's what I want to go do. Now, you said I don't have any fight left in me, so I'm going to pick a fight with Jo Ann just to screw with There are 2 million unfilled high-tech jobs in this country. That's a quote from Arnie Duncan, the current administration Secretary of Education. Very few of those jobs are in music or PE. We rank 25th in the world in science and number 1 in self-esteem on worldwide ratings. Now, you tell me that we don't need reform in education if we're going to survive as a nation and compete worldwide. So, I am very much an education reform person. I've said that before. That's going to be a major part of my efforts you know, right behind jobs and the economy. That's second on my list.
But I won't hold your youth and inexperience against you. I think President-elect Reagan made that comment at some point in his campaigns. And one other thing I want to say in my summation, and then I'll get to my prepared remarks, but is that transportation is not funded from the general fund. Transportation has its own revenue stream through gas tax and through registration fees. And so if we want to increase that funding, we need to take a look at that stream and see if we can impact that either through increased sales or through revenue enhancements. Taxes. It's just another word for taxes. All right. It took a lot of dedicated work and collaboration on the part of the last year's legislature to come up with a budget, and it passed with a huge majority. I think only one person voted against it. As a legislator, I would encourage and participate in this type of cooperative effort. Progress can only be made if we all work together. As a native Coloradan, I want a state that continues to shine as a beacon of progress and growth for all the people of Colorado and for our nation. I have 4 beautiful grandchildren, all of whom live in the state of Colorado. Unfortunately, they don't live in this district, but nonetheless, one of the purposes of my campaign is to demonstrate to them and to all my former students as well that I always preach to, that participation matters, government matters, and democracy, small d democracy, matters. We can make our state nation better and more competitive, but only if we all work together. And together we can win. Thank you very much for this opportunity.